Hey everyone, in this video I want to show you a couple neat tricks that you can use when testing out and debugging your business logic or whatever is in your function stack really. And these are especially helpful whenever you have quite a lot of functions or a lot of noise going on in your function stack, and maybe you want to do more of a debugging piece by piece. So I'm going to show you two things. First is a function called Stop and Debug, and the other one is how to comment out or hide a function. So here on my screen, I have this function built, which I could have done more streamlined, but I wanted to show more things going on within my function stack. This function is called due date, and what I'm doing is I have the to-do list template installed. I'm getting a record from that to-do list. I call it to-do item. I'm creating a variable that stores the timestamp for when it was created. And then I create another variable that adds a week to that created at timestamp and creates a due date, if you will. And then what I do is I edit the record with that new due date variable. So one thing I could do if I wanted to look at this piece by piece, let's say I just want to get the record here and I don't want all this other stuff to run. One way to do that is I could go into my function stack, go to utility functions, and grab this stop and debug function, which stops the execution of your function stack and prints out the data. So when I click that, here we put in the value. So we articulate here maybe which variable of data we want to print out. So I'm going to say this to-do item here. I'll hit save. And now I'd simply just drag this function in the function stack where I want the execution to stop. So now if I run this, we'll see if I pull record 6 here, we have this stop and debug triggered in the response, and I'm getting my record back. As you notice, there's no due date yet, so it stopped it right when I got this record. So that's one way to do it, and another way is you can actually go ahead and hover over a function, and I can actually hide this function now. So this will actually be skipped over. So now let's say I actually want to run the whole thing. For this example, I can hide this stop and debug. I could do it with as many of the functions as I wanted. Because the rest of these functions are dependent, these variables would make me throw an error, so let me unhide them. But now you can see that I can actually go ahead and run this, and this will skip right over the stop and debug because this is hidden or commented out, if you will. So if I run this, let's go ahead, and I actually get now my due date. So it skipped right over the stop and debug, and it went right through the rest of the stack. And then I formatted the timestamps here so you could see that it was actually 7 days in advance for the due date. But there you go, a couple tricks for you to use, especially when working with a lot of different functions and you kind of want to break things down. One being stop and debug. You can articulate which variable you want to print out the data for, and then you can move the function to the point where you want the stack to stop. And then you can also hide functions. So maybe you don't need something, or you want to see how something would run, but you don't want to lose all your progress. Commenting something out is another option. So I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.